Hi, mamas, and welcome back for another episode with Moms with Moms. Moms offering mom support with moms on microphones. So, Jordyn came over for brunch this morning, and we were chatting this whole week about freaking daycare. So, we are going to talk about daycare. If you're new here, make sure you grab something to drink. We have coffee, and we also have lovely little mimosas.
Cheers.
Cheers. We talk about big sips. Absolutely. We talk about taboo things in parenthood, postpartum, and pregnancy. So all the shit that nobody talks about, we talk about here. And today we're going to talk about daycare and how expensive daycare freaking is. But first, we're going to have Jordyn tell us 3 things about herself so the viewers can get some information about you.
Wow, 3 things about me. Okay.
Not mom related.
Not mom related. I'm currently getting my master's in school counseling. So I want to be a school counselor. I am married to my best friend. So that's something about me. And something that I love to do is drink mimosas with friends.
And make really cool shirts for friends.
Yes, that too. I'm a cricket kind of galley.
So we're just going to get into it. So this week, Jordyn and I both have babies, obviously, that are not even a month apart. They're like, what, 2 weeks?
3 weeks apart, I think, yeah.
And right now, both of us are not really using daycare. I mean, I watch Jax on Fridays here and there, but we've been very lucky to not have to worry about that.
Yeah. I think maybe we should actually kind of start with that. Maybe just talk a little bit about what our journey kind of looked like.
And how it got into this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I actually originally was planning to use some sort of childcare, daycare, before Jax was born. Actually, right when I found out I was pregnant, Josh and I were talking, we're like, we need to figure this out soon, because for those of you who don't know, people get on wait lists for childcare before they even get pregnant, or like right away. Like, there's a long list for some of the really good places. Not that there are, bad and good places, but
no,
there are.
It's your personal preference, I think.
Definitely. But the list is crazy. Like, this wait list and the deposits, like, people are getting on them before they're even like, you're planning to have a baby in 2026, you should get on a wait list now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we toured a few places and we fell in love with a few of them, but they were just so expensive. We did get on a couple wait lists, just because you never know if you're going to get a spot at the right time. And then when my son was born, he had some medical issues, so we kind of just decided it was not the right time for me to go back to work. I actually resigned from my job to be a stay-at-home mom while I finish up my master's and work part-time. And that's kind of, you and I met at that time in our life where we're like, hey, we're both stay-at-home moms.
Before that. Remember? You were looking for childcare.
You're right.
And I reached out to you and I said, hey, I'm looking to take on another kid because I wasn't going back to work full time.
That's right.
And then later on you had reached out and you were like, yeah, no, I decided against this.
That's right.
And we started going back and forth about mom crap. Yeah. And like, is this normal? Is this normal? And we realized we were very similar parenting styles.
Yeah, we became friends really quickly, actually.
We did. I think I don't even remember. Oh, Jax had his shots.
Yes.
He was getting his shots, and you asked me about how he did with his shots, and I told you that I did Tylenol. That's the only thing we did, and then we kind of just started texting and talking every day, and
now we talk every day.
We literally talk. We phone call, we FaceTime, we text.
Yeah. And then you have Jax on Fridays when I have my internship. So, and then next year, we both have internship, and we had decided that instead of doing childcare, it's probably best, we're actually going to do internship on opposite days so we can swap the kids.
And not only is it going to be beneficial in the fact that, like, obviously I trust Jordyn. She has similar parenting styles. We talk every day, so, like, we know each other's issues with kids and what there's going on, but it's also going to save us so much money.
So much.
Yeah. So much money, because we're not working full-time hours. I mean, I'm working. So, little about our story is when Jimmy and I found out we were pregnant, I'm lucky enough that I have a job where I can work opposite schedules. But it didn't work out that way because Jimmy was in school and working full-time. So it was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I ended up finding three childcare positions and random stuff. So I work 5 jobs. Yes, it is a lot, but I only work full-time hours, so
Yeah.
equals full-time hours.
Right.
But we were lucky enough to be able to have that flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
And next year it's going to be the opposite. Jimmy's going to be working full-time. I'm going to be in school. So it's nice to know that, like, in the time that we have, we don't have to put that money aside
No.
to figure out how the hell are we going to afford daycare.
Right. And that's kind of what we were discussing when we were talking about what we wanted to chat about today.
Yeah.
Because you and I have been looking for daycare for when our kid turns 2 and 3.
Mind you, our kids aren't even a year yet.
No. Jax is only 10 months today. And we've been calling this past week because we kind of want the boys to go to the same place
Program,
potentially, because they'll also be in the same school district when they're in like kindergarten and up. So we've been looking. That's been a journey. Places are very expensive. It actually gets cheaper when the kids are older. So we can kind of chat about like when they're infants, what we've been seeing, like price-wise. Like, what have you been seeing?
So from what I've seen, it's typically, so part-time is usually $65 a day. That's an in-home daycare, which usually in-homes are cheaper. And then for daycare program that's like licensed and certified is usually anywhere from $80 to sometimes even $100 a day.
Yeah. And that's what Josh and I were seeing. So when we were touring daycares, when we were originally thinking daycare full-time for infants, we were seeing anywhere from like $1,600 a month to like $2,200 a month.
That's like a paycheck.
Right. That's more than our mortgage. So we were like, is it worth it?
No.
I know. Sometimes it's hard because that's like a decision you have to make for your family. Is it worth it to go back, or is it worth it for someone to stay home? For us, especially with Jax's health, it was worth it for me to stay home.
And same with us. I mean, Safino, luckily, we don't have any health issues, but we've thought about the same thing. I could go back full-time. Mm-hmm. I could work full-time hours. But what I would be making in one paycheck would be paying for a daycare provider or someone to watch my son. And that to me just, personally, that doesn't make sense to me. I think that's silly. I'm making more money by not going back to work full-time and making it work that way. And I don't think, honestly, I didn't know how expensive daycare was until I started looking into it and hearing from other people. And it's insane.
I think on the other hand, like, obviously people want to pay that. You know, you're paying that much money because you're having someone take care of your living human being.
That's not the problem.
I'm not shitting on them asking for that amount of money because those employees deserve
100%
that much money. But the normal working class, I don't know. We couldn't afford it.
No. Well, and I think also what needs to go into place is, like, my mom talks about it all the time. I don't know if your mom does. My mom's always like, oh, well, you know, like, we afforded daycare. Mind you, she was paying $100 a week for 2 kids.
Yeah.
So it's very different.
Yeah,
very different. And I also think there's a lot more scary stuff now too that are coming to light. Is where we are, there was just an incident where a baby, an infant, got burned. Accidents happen, and I do want to say that accidents 100% can happen, but the issue is they're so short-staffed. There's too many people that need to have daycare that I think people are overwhelming themselves by taking more that they can handle.
Absolutely.
And that's where accidents happen like that.
Right.
And that's the other thing Jordyn and I have talked about too, and both of our significant others feel the same way about the scariness. Our kids can't talk. Our kids can't really tell you what they need. So it's more scary for me, and I think for you too, is to bring a kid and drop them off to somebody else who doesn't understand your kid and doesn't know what's going on and isn't used to them.
Yeah, and that's what Josh and I had talked about is I don't think we're fully comfortable with doing some sort of daycare program until, like, maybe he doesn't have to say full sentences, but he can say, like, mommy hurt, like, if something happened, or I'm scared, or, you know, can communicate a little bit, because right now, I bring him to you because I fully trust you.
Well, Jordyn knows I take pictures, I send videos, I tell her everything. Even if it's a little thing, I'm like, is this normal?
Yes, yeah. So I think you and I were discussing, and there are some programs locally that we've been looking into. I think we are discussing probably starting with some sort of part-time program so that our kids can get adjusted. before they have to go full-time, because I'll be done with my master's next May, so
So
will
I.
you.
Yep.
And if I want to be a school counselor, that means me working next September. So Jax will be 2.5, and I
Yep.
think at that point I'll definitely be more comfortable. Listen, there are people who have to start daycare right at 6 weeks.
And that's
once
totally
maternity ends.
fine.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what that family chooses, or maybe sometimes they don't even have another option.
No.
I give kudos to anyone who does that, because I was not ready at 6 weeks. I'm not ready right now, and my kid is 10 months old. When I brought Jax to you for the first time, I was really strong because I didn't want him to see me stressed, but I got to my car and I cried. I was like, wow, this is flying by. My kid is with someone else and not me, and he's with me all the time.
Yep.
I think it was the best option, though, because actually since he started going to you, and he's with Bino, so another kid,
Yep.
he has like been talking more, babbling more. He's crawling, almost walking, getting close to that.
He's close.
I know. So I think really, like, they also do need that social interaction.
100%. Jordyn and I also were thinking about, too, is looking into, like, classes and see if there was classes. Again, I do want to preface, we don't make a lot of money. Like, we're not sitting here, like, we're not the bougie stay-at-home moms. No offense to you guys that you are. It's just,
Right.
we have budgets and we have very strict guidelines of what we can afford. And that's another thing that I think that the affordability for things like that is astronomical.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
There's
It's
just
too much.
a lot. Jordyn and I actually looked up in upstate New York for daycares. The average per month is almost $1,800 a month.
$1,800 a month.
Again, that's one paycheck.
Right.
One whole paycheck.
Yeah.
On top of you having mortgage, gas, car payment, electric, like
Phone, everything.
everything. Food, formula, diapers, wipes.
Right.
Like, I knew going into this babies were expensive.
Yeah. I didn't realize how expensive.
Yes.
Like, at all. At all.
It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to pay for wipes and diapers, but it's literally so expensive.
Right. So if any of you have any tips on how to make things more affordable, definitely let us know, because
We're open
I need
to
that.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We aren't those moms that are like, oh, don't tell us. No, don't gateway.
Yeah.
Please tell us.
Please share that information.
And I think it would be also cool to hear people's thoughts about us starting in our kids part-time. I think that'd be really helpful of, like, what are your guys' thoughts? I think for both of us, it's both, I think, more beneficial for our kids, but also for us. It's we're not throwing our kid into a whole day program and being like, okay, bye, like, have fun, figure this out on your own. And again, I think that program we're looking into, it's $100 a week. I think that's affordable. I think that's worth
Right.
what we would be paying. We would be paying $100 for 2 days
Yeah.
for a part-time program, realistically.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And like we talked about, like, that interaction.
Yes.
We're both going to be doing swim lessons with our kids. We've looked into mommy and me classes.
Yep.
You know, because really that's important.
is.
That's important because pre-K is coming before we know it. Like we said, like, some of the daycares that we're getting on waitlist right now are for when our sons turn 3.
2 and 3.
Right, 2 and 3. Preschool starts at 3 around here. So there's a 3-year-old program and a 4-year-old program. And then some of the schools have universal pre-K, but that's a lottery system in our district, so not every kid gets in. So it really is important to kind of start looking now, and I don't mean to scare anyone, but
No.
if you're planning to have kids or you have kids, just think a little bit ahead, because I don't think we realized how far ahead we needed to.
Well, and I also think, again, you didn't have this. You guys toured daycares.
Yeah.
Jimmy and I knew that we weren't doing daycare
Right.
right away. And it wasn't until this week, literally, I said to Jordyn, I said, we need to start looking and getting the kids on waitlist. And the reason why is because of a mom that I used to babysit for. She's been on waitlists, and she's on a waitlist now for 2026, and her kid's almost a year.
Yeah.
And they've been on it since before he was born. And that was when it came to me, and I'm like, maybe we should start looking and getting ourselves on wait lists.
Yeah.
And both of us called around, and they all said, yes. Like, put yourself on the wait list now. Which is, again, some of these places you have to pay a deposit.
Yeah.
And that's not guaranteeing you a spot when you need it.
No.
Just so you guys know, like, you can put yourself on a wait list, and you can pay. but you're probably not going to get into that when you need it.
Right, and now we're talking about, hopefully the boys get into the same program.
But if they don't, like, they only have one spot here and one spot here.
Right,
here we
hopefully I called before you, right?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, God damn it, Jordyn.
I know. We'll figure that out when that comes. But
no.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about, like, what you're looking for in a daycare.
I think really, I know personally how I interact with him. I want as much sensory stuff as possible. I think that sensory things are so important because it works with the motor development, it works with the physical development, and that's what's going to benefit our kids.
Right.
I want my kid to excel and do well, which I think every mom does. So I really want that, but I also want the love and affection. Like, I would want someone who's taking care of my kid to care for them like it's their own kid.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100% more important to me than anything else in this world.
Yeah.
I know you can't do hands-on with every single child, but if my kid's crying and upset, I want you to go and comfort my kid. Mm-hmm. Because Jordyn and I both have really good kids. Our kids don't cry
No.
unless they need something.
Yeah.
Our kids are very good at being independent. This is true.
Is this real wood?
Yes. Yes, thank God. We really do need to. But, like, we know when our kid's not okay because they cling to us a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think, one, that's kudos to us. We really did work well with that. A lot of stay-at-home moms struggle with putting the boundary into place of letting your kids just kind of do their own thing.
Right.
But, like, I want someone who's going to do that. Like, if my
Yeah.
kid's crying and upset, my kid needs you to comfort him.
Right.
Not to just be like, oh, you're fine. Sometimes, yeah, you know what? He might be just getting a little bruise on his leg. Please don't comfort my kid when he bruises himself. Just let him kind of do his own thing and comfort himself. So
Yeah.
that way he doesn't cry every time he falls.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
I think from a logical standpoint, I need something that, like, the hours work, because
Yes.
some of them are, like, very strict on hours.
I didn't even
Others
think about that.
have a little bit more flexibility of, like, when you drop off, when you pick up. We've also looked at places that are, only during, like, a typical school year. Some of the places we've looked at do have summer.
Yeah.
With my job, I will have the majority of summers off, but that's something to think about too. Like, especially
gonna
for
work for you?
parents who have jobs that go all year long, like, you're going to need something that goes throughout the year, not just...
And if your kid gets sick, like, what are their guidelines of your kids getting sick? I didn't even think about that, because then you have to miss work because they can't go to the program, which...
That makes sense to me.
I respect that.
Me too.
I wouldn't want my kid going and being around your kid if your kid is sick.
Yeah, same.
So I think maybe that would be something I'd like to add to the list, like a strict policy about the sick programs.
Right.
Especially for Jax.
Yeah, my kid has had, like, everything under the sun and gets hit really hard when he gets sick. So, yeah, no, I agree. Totally. Yeah. And... some of the programs we've looked at, like, do they provide food? Do they provide diapers? Stuff like that, or just things that you need to, like, consider when you're looking for a program.
It's more money.
Yep.
That's insane. It's literally insane. And again, like, if you are pregnant, you really need to start thinking these things right now.
Yeah, don't panic yourself. Because,
but have an idea of what it is that it looks like for you. Like, if you guys are like, yes, we definitely need to do daycare, start touring now. I hate to be that brat and be like, I am annoyed that you do that, but you need to.
Yeah.
Like, you really honestly need to get yourself on wait lists. And if you're not looking into daycare, figure out financially where you need to be in your budget.
Yeah.
Because the costs of things are way more than what you would think.
Right. Not even just daycare. Like,
Nope.
I was dead set on I'm going to breastfeed until my son is a year old, and that didn't happen for us. We tried. It didn't work. I know that there are people out there like, oh, you didn't try hard enough, but,
They're not you.
it depends on your life. And my son has a lot of allergies, so he's actually on, like, this hypoallergenic formula.
Yep.
It's $80 a can. And that can lasts us 2 to 3 days.
And as he gets older, he has more of an appetite.
Right.
And some days he probably eats more than the other, and you're like,
Definitely,
holy cow.
Definitely. I'm lucky that we found a program that accepts our insurance, so we're getting it through that now, but for a while we didn't.
No.
So think about that. Like, that was not part of our plan. Plans don't always go as you want them to when you have a kid, because
it doesn't work that way.
no, it doesn't work that way.
It literally doesn't.
I literally will have a plan for tomorrow. I have a plan for tomorrow, and I bet you it's not going to go that way.
Never does.
Nope.
And I think, too, like, diapers and wipes. You may say, hey, I'm going to get the cheapest diapers and wipes. I'm going to buy in bulk. I don't have this issue, but I know my friend does. Her child can't have certain diapers and wipes because they have a major allergic reaction. So they actually have to spend a little bit more.
Water wipes, that's all we can use.
So that's what I mean is like you really don't know until your kid comes out what type of expenses are going to be extra or what type of expenses are not. And you're like, whoa. But no, all of those things. Again, same with you. I had a combo feed for a while, and we actually do formula for bottles at night because they sleep longer, and we 100% need our sleep. So
yes,
but
no, like the sleep.
Yes, but definitely, my kid houses food, so I literally it's not like when we go out to eat, he gets his own food. He has to get his own food, or else he's gonna be eating all of mine and Jimmy's food.
Right.
So all of those expenses.
Yeah, you just don't think about it.
No. What do you think would be like the best piece of advice? Like best 3 things to new moms or moms who are struggling with the idea of daycare.
Daycare. We talked about a budget.
Yep.
And that's not just daycare, but expenses in general. Like, Josh and I are pretty good. We stick to our budget with, like, food, extra expenses, child care, which obviously not a big expense right now because we go through you, but we stick to that. Tour places, but also, like, make sure you're comfortable with the place.
100%.
You're not... There's no perfect place, unfortunately. People do make mistakes like we talked about, but make sure that you're going to be comfortable leaving your child there, because if you're not, you're going to go to work and that's all you're going to think about, and then you're not going to be as efficient at work. So that doesn't benefit anyone. My third piece of advice is find moms that you can, like, chat about this stuff with, because until I, like, had another friend that was, like, a mom with a child around the same age, like, I was kind of going, like, crazy. I would sit there and I was like, I don't know who to talk to this about. I was upset. I was crying all the time. I was struggling with postpartum and trying to figure all of this out on my own. So it's been really beneficial for me to talk with you.
Same. And, like, there's certain things that Jordyn's been through that I can call her if I don't know, like the retractions last week. I literally sent a video to Jordyn and I'm like, are these retractions? Because I have no idea.
Yep.
But it's so nice to have someone. And I really would say, too, is similar parenting styles. Because I have another friend, love her. Kaylee, I know you're watching this. I love you. But there are some things, like, that her and I don't agree on and, like, it doesn't work. Like, her child sleeps throughout the whole night. That doesn't work for our house. Like, it doesn't. We have to follow a strict routine. Jordyn follows a strict routine, and it works for them. So it's nice to, like, be like, this week we were talking about how our kids weren't sleeping. Yeah. So I was like, did you drop this nap? Did you drop this nap? And, like, did you do this? She suggested doing the rice formula into the...
We don't use rice. You can use rice
oatmeal,
if you want to. Oatmeal, yeah. They talk a little bit about, like, rice having, like, high levels of arsenic, so just...
Okay, so maybe check with your doctor. We're not doctors.
Right, check with your pediatrician. The oatmeal, though, helps them sleep longer at night. So, but this past week, we both were, like, really struggling because our kids were, like, not on their normal schedule. I do not know what it was. I was like, is there a full moon out or something? But
and then last night they were great.
Last night, we were good. So
let's hope tonight goes the same.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely this was, for me, talking about this with you was really helpful because it was like, okay, this is where we're at. And I think finding a mom friend who has a kid in the same age doesn't have to be the same sex or same gender, but I think it's helpful because it's like, I want them to stay together.
Yeah.
We're going to force them to be best buddies.
They're kind of like, Jax will, like, kind of, like, pull on Bino, and I'm like, no, stop, you have to like each other because there's no other option.
And Bino will do the same thing back, so.
Yeah, they're young.
The first time that Jax was over, Jax was making, like, this screaming, exciting noise. Like, he was just playing, yes. And there it is. Bino was crying every time he did it. And it was so funny because Jordyn's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, my kid is just a little baby right now.
They'll get over it.
They will. But no. Awesome. All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers. This was fun. I'm going to chug this. I didn't want to do it on screen.
Should we?
I don't know.
Is that, like, frowned upon?
Let's try.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. This came out my nose. Okay, clearly it's been a while since both Jordyn and I have drank. I clearly cannot chug like that. Almost came out nose.
It's all good.
So thank you for joining and talking about daycare.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Of course. Mamas, if you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you won't get notifications that a new episode dropped. They do drop every Monday, but they drop at different times because I'm a mom and I can't guarantee it's always going to drop. So definitely subscribe. If you like this episode, make sure to hit the like button. If you have any questions or you have ideas about daycare or any advice for us, please, we would really love to hear you because we are first-time moms. So we don't know how this all works, and hearing from other people helps us. And if you want daily inspiration or cooking reels or kind of just daily life as a mom, make sure to follow my Facebook and my Instagram. And the more unfiltered version of me, because it's TikTok, that's what everybody does on TikTok, make sure to follow TikTok right here. And as always, moms, we're surviving and thriving, because as moms, that's what we do. Bye, besties.